Hi there and thanks for watching. If you like the content of this video, please like and subscribe. Hi, I'm Jonathan Hopp and this is 10-Minute Java where I explain Java concepts in less than 10 minutes. Now for polymorphism, I recommend that you go take a look at the inheritance, abstract classes, and interfaces videos so that way you kind of understand some of the assumptions I make in this video. So if you don't know what interfaces or inheritance is, you should go check that out first and then come back. Alright, so polymorphism is like a fundamental concept of object-oriented programming. What is it really all about? Basically, your classes can have different faces. They basically can have multiple types, and you can group them depending on those types. And so you're saying, what the heck are you talking about? Well, we've got a bird class, which is an abstract class. Okay, it's not instantiatable, and it's just got a constructor and some properties, plain Jane stuff. We've got eagles, which are birds, and hawks, which are birds, as well as penguins, which are birds. So they all extend bird. They all inherit from bird. I've also got this interface, okay, the fly interface. The reason I have the interface is because I want to have things in my class like helicopter. Okay, helicopter can fly, eagles can fly, hawks can fly, but penguins, even though they're birds, do not fly. All right, so where's polymorphism come in? Cool. So I've got a hawk, I've got a penguin, let's make a helicopter. Helicopter equals new helicopter. All right, and then we'll just have new helicopter. All right, now a penguin is of the type penguin, but it's also of the type bird. Why? Because it inherits from bird. So it's I like to think of polymorphism as having like a single object can have multiple faces. Okay, it just depends on what the context is. So let's say I had like an app that was like bird watching, right? And I had a list of birds. So we're gonna do list of bird, let's say birds to watch equals new array list, okay, of bird. And then I'm gonna have to import all this good stuff. Okay, no problem. All right, so that's pretty good. So we know what array lists are. This is where we want to hold multiple things. All right, so here's the thing. Because of polymorphism, I can put anything in this array list that is a bird or implements bird. Now, obviously, bird is an abstract class, so I can never do new bird. That's not possible. However, I have eagles, hawks, and penguins. Now, watch what can happen. So, for example, I can say birds to watch dot add, and I can add the hawk. Why? Because the hawk inherits from birds. If we go to the hawk class, hawk extends bird, which means that a hawk is also a bird, which makes sense. But also, I can go ahead and add a penguin. Okay, why? Because penguins are birds. So now it's kind of cool because I have this list of bird, right, which could be, it's basically anything that inherits from birds. So that means like, I don't have to basically like do a list of hawk, right? If you did a list of hawks, then you couldn't, like for example, list of hawks, let's say hawk list equals new array list of hawk. In this list, I couldn't put a penguin in it. Okay, add penguin, right? That would be impossible. Okay, penguins are not hawks. All right, so I can have a list, okay, or basically a collection that is of the parent type. And then all of the children I can put into that list and mix and match them. So that way, let's for example say we have a method in birds that says like make sound, right? So we'll do public void make sound. All right, and then we will just s out bird sounds. Okay, so we could do that. We can make it abstract. I'm doing this for the simplicity of it. Now I've added birds to my list, and I'm going to like loop through them. So I'm going to do for birds to watch. Okay, so remember we have this for loop using this colon. All right, and then we're going to do s out bird. We're going to do not s out bird dot make sound. Right, so this make sound method belongs to anything that inherits from birds. So it doesn't matter if it's a hawk, doesn't matter if it's a penguin, doesn't matter if it is an eagle, because I can all add them to the same list. They all basically are of the type bird. Okay, they can be put together in that context, and then when I run my program, let it compile for a second and run, they'll all be able to make a sound, and my program will be perfectly fine. Okay, bird sounds, and we can make it. You can go ahead and maybe do an abstract method and make it up to the class, but you get the drift. All right, so because hawk, penguin, and eagle all inherit from bird, I can use their parent class okay, here with polymorphism, and just basically say, okay, cool, you're all of this type. Same thing with interfaces. So I could do a list of things that fly. Okay, things that fly equals new array list. Okay, fly. And then you're saying, wait a second, fly is an interface, not a class. Fine. Okay, that's no problem. Okay, I'm looking at things that have fly, basically that implement the interface fly. So that means things that fly could have the hawk, but things that fly, things that fly add could also be helicopter, right? Because helicopters also fly, right? So because they share this type, they have this interface, okay, that means that they share that type. That is a thing that they share. So polymorphism allows classes to have different faces. Okay, and so because they all have that interface, I can add them to the same list. You also can do things like this. So for example, I could do what's called upcasting. So let's say I do bird, some bird equals new hawk. All right, so you might be like, what the heck is going on with this? So I'll do 50 true, they have brown and white feathers, I guess. All right, so here on the left side, we have the parent class, all right, the bird class. And then on the right, I actually have hawk, which is one of the child classes. All right, so you're able to therefore start with the parent class on the left, and then you can upcast it to the hawk class. We'll get more into upcasting and downcasting in a later video. I just kind of wanted to mainly focus on polymorphism being about having an object with different faces. All right, so what this means, this review, is that polymorphism is essentially a class, an object can have different faces, right? So that includes inheritance and implementing interfaces. All right, so I have this list of birds to watch, all right, and it's birds. So anything that inherits from birds can be added to this list. That means that eagles and hawks and penguins are all birds. So anywhere I use a bird, I could also just as well use one of those, all right? So they're kind of interchangeable in that way. Same thing with interfaces. I have a list of things that fly, so anything that implements the fly interface will be able to be added to this list. So that means that essentially that our classes have multiple faces depending on what interfaces and what things they inherit from. Okay, that's really cool. Like for example, be able to put methods in where we could say, okay, cool, I'm expecting something of the bird class, right? Now, one thing to remember though is that if you do this, so for example, if we go back to our birds to watch array, when I loop through it, so for bird in birds to watch, okay, I only have access to things that are in the parent class. So for example, if a hawk did something special, I would not be able to automatically do bird dot. I can do bird that makes sound because that exists in the bird class. But if hawk had something special, like I don't know, like public void capture prey, okay, like, you know, hawks go hunting, right? Then I would not be able to capture prey from specifically the bird because the parent class does not have a capture prey method, all right? So just keep that in mind. However, you can loop through them and then do make sound because make sound exists in the parent class. It's still really cool because I get to be able to add all my birds into a list to be able to loop through them and do some logic with them. All right, so there are still other topics from here that we're going to cover in later episodes, like upcasting and downcasting, some more details, but let's get you started with polymorphism.